Okay, welcome back to another episode of the Shed Geek podcast. And it's a beautiful thing about being on the road is sometimes opportunity comes up to be able to do some interviews. And I think got a chance to meet some of you guys a while back at one of the trade shows, but now we move right on forward into an opportunity to sit down and talk. And then you get to meet some of the coolest people. And I think maybe that's part of my favorite part of this process. So we're in sunny South Carolina, but we're also in Oklahoma. So we're able to just accomplish a lot of tasks here today. I'll tell you what, guys, introduce yourself if you would, your company, a little bit about who you are and what you do. Maybe let the audience know who you are.
Well, I'm Joe Scarpetta. I'm one of the partners with ShedVerse and the owner of the Scarpetta group, and I'm right here in Simpsonville, South Carolina.
Excellent.
My name is Matt Blake, and I'm with ShedVerse, and then I've also got Ron's Portable Buildings out of Poto, Oklahoma, and then Quality Buildings purchased it in February of 2022 out of Norman, Oklahoma. Okay. And that's how Joe and I become acquainted. Was he was working on ShedVerse with the previous owner, and then when I took over the company, he and I partnered up and decided to promote this.
Well, I appreciate you guys being on the show here today, and let's just start out with what is ShedVerse. If you gave me we're going to get into the depths, but in a nutshell, how would you explain to the audience what it is that you do?
Matt, do you want to take this one?
ShedVerse is something to make the guy that is tired of having 18 different systems and having to enter lots of different information in one system or in multiple systems. We're trying to get it where we're entering that information in one system. Maybe we're taking a couple different systems and combining them, but you're able to use it all from ShedVerse and hopefully not having to go outside and use it out of there. But we'll handle point of sale, inventory, raw inventory, and finished inventory, the lease to own stuff. I do all my own lease to own. So that's something that's very important to me, is being able to have the lease to own module in-house where we're not having to use a third party system and having to bounce back and forth between the systems. So we're trying to tie everything together. The same thing on the 3D side. We don't have our own, but we use Idea Room and use their system, and we've got that tied to where people go online. It automatically puts in a quote on our system, and automation is probably the word I would say. We are absolutely about automation. If I can go from one click to 0 clicks on something, that's what I'm I'm directing Joe to do. And that's where he's good at figuring out how to do that. And Joe's the engineer behind the scenes that's making everything happen for us.
And very talented. I've got a chance to spend a little bit of time here with Joe, and we've chatted sort of about the industry at large. And one of the things that I talked about maybe early on that I felt like was kind of imperative is we are in a moment where technology just seems to be growing, not just in the sales process in general, but specifically with the shed industry. And it has been that way for probably a couple years now. And I think one thing I mentioned to Joe is being able to have a simple user interface, I think is imperative for an industry that sometimes maybe struggles with tech, not familiar with tech, or they're using a third party for web development or whatever it is. So how have you guys approached sort of tackling that process? What was the old method? What is the KISS method? Keep it simple, stupid. I think that's what I always heard anyway. And I was like, that must be speaking to me. Yeah. So what do you guys do to keep it simple for the user?
Well, I think we work together on it, and a lot of it, we'll be almost there on something, and then Matt will look at it like, how can we get this to be two clicks less? So we've really worked together to keep the interface where we don't need a training manual around it, but where we can get the user to where they want to be. And like I was showing you earlier, a lot of times you can get through the whole system with just your mouse. We're not having to type a lot of things, except for getting that initial customer data in, or getting the product data in and right out of the gate. So we try to keep it as simple as possible in that respect. We call out things, as you can see on the screen here right now, where certain things are highlighted more than others, and just keep the focus correct.
So have you guys found it challenging with the fragmentation of the industry to sort of bring all those programs into one? I think I was on Shed Sales Professionals page the other day, and I just saw somebody say, where's my go-to place for QuickBooks? And then you go down a little bit further and it's like, where's my go-to place for rent to own? Where's my go-to place for 3D configuration? So what's sort of been like, have you guys found any difficulty in trying to bring that vision to an industry that does have that fragmentation?
The difficulty is we use QuickBooks Online, and like I said, we use Idea Room over there that is working together and getting everything to work together in our system, any system. And that's what we've hopefully done, and we've tried to do, is get it where you're not having to deal with QuickBooks Online all the time. You're able to do it through here. Everything's automated back to them, all live. Those are a couple of the things that we tried, but it is very fragmented, because you got your 3D guys that's what they do. You got your lease to own guys that's what they do, and we're still facing it right now of all these things that we're trying to tie together and make it into one system. It's not a real easy task. And the other thing is, it would be very nice to have enough money in the world to go out there and just make your own QuickBooks Online and your own 3D and all these other things that you need to send text messages, automated text messages, and record phone calls and all of that stuff. And so it has been very difficult trying to find those things and get them to my standards and Joe's standards of where we want them and where we go out and market. And one quick thing here, we've got a couple customers. We went to the show last year in September, and then in January went to a show. Joe and I have made a commitment. We're not trying to have 20 customers by next year or anything else. We're trying to stay small, 4 or 5 to 10 customers over the next year or two, and make sure that we've got the best system out there before we try to go and scale this up and get a lot of customers. We're not looking for a lot of customers right now. We're looking for quality customers that will help us grow this system into the best system that it can be.
Quality customers and doing a quality job for them. I'm going to promote myself as one of the largest proponents of nagging the industry about over committing and under delivery. It is the first step in ending any good relationship.
Well, I think when you say relationship, I think between Matt and I think the great part about this is that we're looking at this from two different perspectives. Well, I've learned the shed industry. Matt's learning the software industry. So we're both coming at this with our strengths.
Yeah.
And we're putting that together with this. So I've got all my almost 25 years experience developing software. Matt's got all of his life around the shed industry and that stuff. So combining that is where I think this is really becoming strong.
Hello, Shed Builder. With each new year, builders are searching for ways to increase efficiency and safety. Simply put, the Joey Pivot Lift is an investment into your building crew and your bottom dollar. Manufacturers are able to save hours and dollars by making painting, decking, and roofing a safer and quicker process. The Joey Pivot Lift turns 360 degrees inside of a 50-inch radius and last an average 8-hour workday before needing charged. It has a minimum platform height of 61.5 inches, allowing you to reach into areas with ease versus the traditionally used 6-foot ladder. No tripping or falling hazards exist, and no need to climb down and restock. For roofers, simply load your metal on the lift prior to getting started and throw your roofing screws into the built-in tool tray. Pricing is just $8,295 for the 60 series, $9,685 for the 70 series, and $10,675 for the roofing model. For exact pricing that includes tax and delivery to your door, contact the Shed Geek at info@shedgeek.com or dial 618-309-3648. We're raising building standards with Joey Pivot Lift.
So, yeah, let's talk about kind of how you guys, Matt, you talked a little bit about it. You had a portable building company. You bought another one. You realized the need early on for, there's nothing wrong with a small mom and pop shop that just wants to stay pushing whatever amount of sheds they want out a year, but you are seeing a maturing of the industry. And as you see that maturing of that industry, you are seeing things like tech develop into a very sophisticated process that is necessary for growth, and for, scalability. It's because you mentioned automation. There's just so much more that you can do with automation than just keeping 2 or 3 people busy and increasing your labor cost, where the technology is taking place of some of that. And I'm perfectly understandable for those that don't want to embrace that. They kind of want to stay in a small area, but that is giving way for those that are embracing the change to sort of step into that market and take a larger market share. Would you agree?
Absolutely. I mean, I think you see it in all industries. Consolidation really is a driving factor, and it is in our industry as well as any of the others. But the automation, and that's one thing I really like about our system. You have to absolutely, the only place we have any paperwork right now is in our production facilities. Everything else is done automated on the computer, email sent, storage, everything. You know, I've still got a lady that does a lot of filing on our contracts and stuff. I'm going, we back them up 3 different places. Do we really need to spend all this time that you're talking about on this manual labor to keep these paper copies? You know, we've got it backed up 2 or 3 places. Is it really worth that time? But people are harder to find. The human capital gets harder and harder to find every day. And so the automation is 100% key to growth, in my opinion.
So let's do this, if it's all right with you guys. For those of you that watch on YouTube, you'll get a chance to see a little bit of this, and maybe we can try to navigate that through our voices the best as possible for just those that listen audio or those that use the call-in landline to listen. But probably to explain the process as a whole, we'd probably have to do a 2 or 3 parter, and not because it's difficult, but because it's that in depth. But what you guys say we walk through, 5 or 10 minutes of kind of showing the customer a little bit about the program, what it looks like, and we'll throw the fish hook out there, and then we'll see if they give you a call for some demos, because I know you guys are open to do some demos, and maybe you can give them the full version of what you're doing. But Joe, if it's all right, maybe take me through a little bit. If I'm a brand new shed manufacturer and I call up ShedVerse, which I love the name, by the way, I see the vision for it. The universe, all encompassing, has everything. ShedVerse. So you're branded so well already. I love the name, but take that through me. Take me through that. If I was a brand new manufacturer and I said, okay, well, what do you do? How's it work? And how's it benefit me? I'm going to be selfish. How's it help me?
All right. Well, I'm going to go all the way back then. I'm going to start with back in here and in our products then. So we can define our different product types. And then within a product type, I can define the colors, how I can purchase this, styles that are associated. If I want to get into something specific for a different type of sheeting with their colors, or the same with roofing or discounts. So from a manufacturing perspective, we've got all the pieces here that are starting to assemble it. When I step in through to the next portion of this, then I get into what we call the product builder, is your catalog.
Okay.
The product builder is where we look at and say, I have an 8x8 junior barn galvanized barn. And then within here, I'm defining pricing. I'm defining commissions for builders, different pricing within the different states, and then all the different components.
One of the things I would like to add is, as you run through this whole process of this product builder and everything, but all these dealer commissions and everything, is they're checked off through the production facility, saying that the floor is built, the walls are built, whatever. All that is automated. You run a report at the end of the week. You know exactly what you're supposed to pay. You can break it down, like I said, on how many ever levels you want. Same way for the delivery drivers. No more paper sheets of having to remember how many guys, waiting on this guy to turn the paperwork in. When he hits complete, it creates a commission record the same way the production facility does. Same way for sales for our outside lots, all the commissions that are paid that way. So that is, to me, something that a manufacturer would certainly a new one would help them on all this stuff. They're not having to go out and have Excel spreadsheets to keep up with this, or waiting for somebody to email or fax them in what they did this week.
So this gets all this set up at that point that I can go into and choose a dealer. So in a dealer, this is just the internal view, but I can set up everything around a dealer, right down to commissions. We're working on a split commission portion. That's a new module here. We can set ranges for how we pay commissions, what delivery radiuses there are for paying inventory. A dealer can request, and then it can see all the different details. But let's walk through a quote, because that's what we really want to show here. So let's create a quote. States required, and the state's required for pricing, and it's also required for taxes.
Okay.
Well,
Go ahead, Matt.
No, what I was going to say is, like on the delivery stuff that he was showing a while ago in the radius, the computer automatically figures out what the pay is on everything, if it's going to a lot or if it's lot to customer. Again, there's no having to worry about that. There's a mileage override if the map doesn't come up correctly or something. If it's a different mileage than what it's showing, it can't find it. So a lot of things to double check, and if there ever is a problem, there's always an easy workaround that is very, very easily obtainable and gets you to the right place.
ShedHub.com is the shed industry's very first two-sided marketplace that allows you, the shed seller, to list your inventory on a site specifically designed for selling sheds. ShedHub establishes more qualified sales leads and helps your customers find you with a simple online search. Shoppers searching where to buy sheds and sheds near me have grown by 200% in the last 2 years. This means even if the buyer wants to visit a sales lot to purchase a shed, their shed buying journey started with a simple Google search. They can actually check out and purchase the shed straight from ShedHub if they prefer to shop online. ShedHub does not charge any commission for sheds you sell. We simply charge the monthly subscription. Your sales commission is still yours to keep. Sheds listed on ShedHub will have first page search results in 91% of cities, or where to buy sheds is searched. For special pricing only available through ShedGeek, simply go to geek.shedhub.com to see the promo codes that allow you to save as much as 50% off the first 12 months of your subscription, and over 75% for companies with multiple sales locations. Sell more sheds using ShedHub.com.
So you'll just provide the hauler with a login, and I would imagine for them they'll see just a simple portion of the interface that's necessary for them. Focuses on the delivery aspects only.
Why don't I show you that really quick?
What they get, like when this sale, let's say he finishes this sale and it's assigned to a certain driver, it goes to that driver. he looks at it. It's on his iPad. It's got a map where he can see all of his deliveries. It's got a list of all the deliveries. Then he can schedule them. And in our Norman facility, we use contract drivers. Out of our Poto facility, we use in-house trucks. So we have a dispatcher that she sees everything goes to her screen, and then she assigns it to our 6 trucks here, who she wants to own it. She delivers or assigns it, dispatches it, and it shows up on his screen at that point. And then we're also able to use it if you just have contract trucks where they set up their own delivery, where our dispatcher does not have to use it. And that's one other good thing about our system. We're set up for multi-facility operations, being we have 2 different manufacturing plants. We run out of different places. So what we do in, say, Norman is not what we've got to do at Poto or vice versa.
Okay.
So everything we've been building out in here is we've got it where we can run those separate areas and we can do different things in each area. So a lot of flexibility.
Excellent.
And one of the things that we kind of ran into was when Daniel and Joe first started building this, it was for a 1-horse operation. So we're kind of having to go back and redo some of those things to make them where we multifaceted and we can use them for more of a bigger operation than what they were doing at the time.
That's what's sort of amazing to me, is because there is, I love to use the word fragmentation. There's just such a different system from one shed lot to the next, that it's sort of the golden egg or the golden ticket, if you will, to be able to service all of those regardless of your business approach. You can be vertically integrated and have your own shed trucks, but you can also use a third-party service, and this can accommodate either.
Correct. Yeah. Even with external,
yes, sir, 100%.
Even with external services, as we start to learn more with what other customers want, we can talk to any REST API. So we can start to communicate with anything that's out there, and that's one of the best things about being on this platform.
Oh, that's great.
And Matt's even seen, and I mentioned earlier, we've gotten a call while somebody's customer sitting on a lot and something weird's going on. We can hop in the system live, make that correction, and move on. Whether it's data or somebody found a bug, we can fix it live right in front of them. Keep that customer on your lot.
Wow.
And I want to, as we grow, with like Matt saying, not to be in a rush, I want to be able to provide that level of service to everybody as we move forward.
Sure. It's definitely the key. Go ahead, Matt. Sorry.
Ideally for me, and I know we're kind of getting off the demo here, but ideally for me, if we had 4 or 5 customers and they were all, looking for these customers willing to help, because I don't know everything about the shed industry, and the way we do things here is completely different than it's done on the East Coast, and there's just areas that are not our strong suit. So we're looking for those guys that are willing to come in and help us right now and go, hey, figuring out the material list on the back end and how to get each piece, you cut this 14-foot board and how to get it cost associated for each part of that board you cut to the building and stuff like that. That is, just a certain area that we're, looking at, or even how lease to own is done and everything. Cause we've never been with a national lease to own company. So we're, learning as we go as far as my operation. And so we're open-minded and we're in the stage right now. If somebody's wanting to find a new computer system and everything, that we're really willing to listen to a lot of input, where maybe some of these other guys are more, hey, here's the system, here's how it is, we're not changing it. We're still in that growing phase of we need that input, looking for that input and making it better everywhere around. And that is something that we try every day is to make it better. I'm sorry for hijacking.
Oh, you're
demo.
good. You're
fine.
good. I love the conversation, man.
Fine. So this is the view the driver gets into. So he'll see this portion. He won't see this on his screen. But then he'll have this view on his iPad. He can take photos of the building after he's delivered it. He can take payments. So if there's a payment due from the customer, we're all integrated with QuickBooks right here. If they drop the shed off the truck, they can request a repair. There's liability. And then when they hit this complete button, that means the delivery is done. It'll tell everybody it's done, but then it's creating the commission records.
Okay.
And we just finished a process with that, and that reporting process, it'll go create all the vendor bills in QuickBooks, and so everybody can get paid faster. Takes a big workload off of Matt's team.
The same thing, all the repos, again, we do our own repos or our own lease to own, so we have repos. All those show up on the driver screen. So if there's a driver close, they can go pick it up, but it'll have any information in there. If they need to pay you $500 not to pick it up, it's all there. Driver can take payment. Tried to make it, again, where that person can do it, not having to call in and get another person involved.
So on this screen, then, this is the driver. This is the driver screen. So this is actually
the dispatch screen.
Yeah.
Okay.
The dispatcher screen, and it shows 258 buildings to be delivered is why it's so messy there, in my opinion. And I've asked her to change that, but she likes looking at all of them. I've tried to get it filtered down, so we leave it alone because that's what makes her happy.
Yeah. So this is actually designed to fit on, like, she's got like a 50-inch television, so I've got my screen blown way out, so it looks a little awkward right now. But she can click on these big shed buildings where the plants are in Oklahoma, but if I click on any of these buildings or roll over, I can get some details on what this is. If you see the construction guys, they're sitting in, they're being built right now, but then it'll pull up a similar delivery view where she can go through and schedule this and move things forward on there.
Wow.
So it's a really handy.
As soon as
view.
she schedules it, it shows up on their iPad.
Yeah.
Hey guys, this is the Shed Geek, and I'm here to tell you about the latest in financial innovation to hit the shed industry. It's a program called Backyard Finance. Everywhere I go, shed manufacturers and shed sellers are always asking, how can I get a better payment option for my customer? At Backyard Finance, they're making this a reality. You might be asking, how do I sign up? Simple, just go to Backyard Finance, click on the Get Started Now button, and create an account. After that, you'll have 200 plus banks competing to give your customer the best financial terms possible. With Backyard Finance, you can service your customers two ways: direct to customer lending or direct to merchant lending. With direct to merchant lending, simply fill out an application. It takes about 2 to 4 weeks to process that application, but it'll allow you a variety of financing options to make you a more competitive retailer. With FICO scores as low as 500, 600, or 700 plus, your customers will receive financing options with APRs as low as 2.99% or as high as 29.99%. Credit applications are approved in just 15 to 45 seconds. To know more, contact Backyard Finance at 833-692-2286 or email info@backyardfinance.com today. Backyard Finance, funding backyard dreams.
So that works perfect for the driver. I can't help but think that the drivers are really going to appreciate the simplicity. That let them have to do the happy sheets and all that. You lose one, or you got a signature, forgot to, or you didn't get your pictures. It's all happening automated. So, I mean, it's assisting you in the process for a simplicity perspective, I think. So the quotes, you're on the quotes now. Is that
so we had started back to the quote earlier, and then we kind of ran around a little bit. So we've got the quotes set up here. I can go in and select a product. So being on that lot, it will pull up all the buildings that are on that lot. And if I want to go do a custom building, we'll just grab this one here because it's there. I can filter and search and sort and all that. So it's picking up all that template right now, and it's filling it out. You might see some things flash behind the screens. It's checking what the taxes are.
Okay.
So it's run out to tax charts, getting that information for you, it's checking our payment options, and building all this out behind the scenes really quick for everything that we can do.
Now, if you're using a lease to own company that's third party, do you just put in the numbers that they have? Is it flexible on that? Like, how do you accommodate third party lease to own?
Right now, we've got it set up where you can go in and set up any combination of, say, lease terms you want.
Okay.
But if we were using a certain lease to own company, we would go in and put their divisor and all that
Okay.
stuff in, and then that's what would print on the contract. And I don't know that we're there where if you were using multiple lease-to-own companies yet, where we could choose between the two, but that is something that's been brought to our attention that possibly needs to be done. But we've recently been working on this for a lot of flexibility. For one of the other customers we've got, they needed some different stuff, so we've really concentrated on making the lease-to-own options a lot easier and the way it's set up.
Yeah, so we did this, so like a rent-to-own. You could set up your own internal cash. You could throw in financing, throw in your own payment options for an external company. And then we've got contracts, that module I was explaining earlier, that we've got a contract module that's being built out so that we know it's external or internal. And one of the parts I'm looking at is that if we do something external, that we'd be able to create a bill that would go out to that company.
And you've got most everything here as far as, added damage waivers, CRAs, pretty much anything that you might see in a rent-own or lease-to-own company, it's all available for you.
The bottom.
Yes.
Yeah, down there on the left on that monthly fees, if it's monthly fee, you can hit add and add how you want it, taxable or non-taxable, charge it on the down payment or not.
Yeah, and we're even going
A lot of flexibility.
With aggressive, it seems like aggressive terms, as rent-to-own becomes more competitive, you just have to be more available to meet the demand.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
We're
And it is set up. Go ahead, Joe.
We're starting to work through like with the different states. So as we're learning that, North Carolina has a balloon payment, or if we want to do a product upcharge, or different pilot cars or different things. So we're starting to work through, and the fees are eventually going to move. That module we just looked at will be moved here to the States.
And so much of this you guys learned from, Matt, what you were talking about earlier, and that's being flexible when the customer calls in and says, well, our particular state or whatever it is does this one thing. Can you accommodate that? And,
Yes.
and your answer is yes. Yeah, we can. We'll either build it out or we already have.
Yes.
Well, one of the things I always like about Joe is I don't know that he's ever told me no. He might have stumbled a little bit, it's going to take me a little bit, but I don't know that he's ever told me no. But that's what I'm talking about on these customers we're looking for. Somebody that's going to call and say, hey, we're in a different state. We're in Nevada, and things are different over there. They've got to know that we don't have that set up, and we're willing to work on it, and we want to be there, but it's going to take a little bit of time, and we're going to need their input to make sure we get it correctly. Because I don't want to, like you said, I don't want to rush through it and it be wrong, but I don't want to tell them it'll be 2 months and take us a year either,
Right.
which is what we're trying not to do.
Yeah.
Trying to be more upfront on the front end of time and how long it's going to take. And we've lost a couple customers because I don't think we were probably where they wanted us to be, or we wasn't on the timetable, but that was okay. It probably wasn't the right fit for us.
You would either lose them by saying we're not there yet, or you'd lose them by saying we are there and then you're not there yet.
Right.
So it's better to just up front say we're getting there and plan for future business as opposed to ruining good business now. I would harp like time and time again on overpromise and underdeliver. We could do a whole segment on it, but carry on. Go ahead, Joe.
All right, so this pulled in that template from that product builder then. So it gave us our standard option, quantity of one. So I can go through in the options that were related to that building, then I can just start to check them off. But as this is also a sales tool, or if I had some notes in here, it might give some recommendations for another product. We've got things like if I add an additional plug, it will also then add in, as we go through this, it will add in the electrical package and things like that as well.
So it's got what he's saying there. It's got a little safety feature that it won't let me add an additional plug without having an electrical package. And if I delete the electrical package, it automatically deletes the additional plug. Yeah. And like on the notes there, when you choose the electrical package, it maybe says ask about additional plugs and insulation.
Yeah.
Just tools for your salesman there.
Yeah. Then we have a whole complex coupon module and discount module. The payment portion drives off of what we had back in the product types and from the other piece I just showed you. So it picked up all those lease calculations to give us the proper information here. So I could choose a 3-year lease on this now. And now it's going to run back to all those calculations and present that leasing information. So right now this is really designed around an internal lease, but it could be used with, if we know all the factoring for someone else, we could produce that same information. So all the taxes are coming from TaxJar. It's pulling up what's due today. And then we've got another tool in here to estimate what payments are. If you put this much down, it would do that.
Which is a sales tool in itself.
Yes.
Because visual is so much better, in my opinion, than just description. I mean, there's a reason why it's nice to be able to put this on the screen and show people what we're talking about. Is I would always do that whenever discussing pricing. When you show someone the difference in the pricing visually, it creates a new dynamic for them because they have to associate it with their eyes, and it does something different than just telling them. It almost kind of it could get lost in the fodder of conversation. So when you see what it's going to cost, I mean, to me, it's a sales tool. I would have used it that way.
So we're not all connected up here with QuickBooks in development, but we can take our payments. You can take multiple payments or unlimited payments. So you could use credit cards, cash, firstborn child, whatever you want to throw in there to make the payments on these things. But it'll let you take everything through there, and then it goes and creates those invoices in QuickBooks, and then we pull the payments back and reconcile the payments against those invoices. So we're trying, there's a lot of this that's going on to simplify all the steps.
If you charge credit card fees, you'll see two different boxes there above. One says taxes, one's with credit card fees. So we charge credit card fees. So you could do that. That could be turned on or off. More flexibility if everybody's wanting to pay with credit card now, and it gets very expensive on the processing of that, the fees.
And then we can get into the build with the notes, and you get your diagrams. And there's the contract
and
sign.
If that was pulled over from a 3D designer, all that would be there automatically.
Sure.
Whatever their diagrams were would all be pulled in right there.
So there'd be some
on this quote.
There'd be some here, and then there's actually also another tab that appears when there's 3D here, and it'd be every image with every view that 3D carries in. So you would have one more. You'd have one more button over here that says 3D. But it'll build out. So from Idea Room, then it'll submit into here and populate all the data from here to have the quote. And then we're working on some automations and things right now. It goes to a lot for them, but we could work on further automation that would then go and tell them, hey, this is here, and things like that.
Hey, Shannon, who is this Cal person I keep hearing about?
Cal, that's actually an affordable software solution for shed manufacturers and dealers. Cal helps streamline your order management, delivery, point of sale, and e-commerce.
What about RTO and RTO Pro?
Yes, on both accounts. Cal handles both in-house and RTO companies with a very easy step-by-step process that produces a web-based contract.
What about my Idea Room configurator?
Cal and Idea Room are seamlessly integrated. Cal is definitely worth checking out. Call Tristan at 425-359-3279 or visit calcanhelp.com. Very nice. I mean, the idea is to take the customer from A to Z through, the customer being the manufacturer, the shed seller, take them through just a simple process from A to Z. And I think that's the key to, we talked about that, using, the user interface, being able to get through this comfortably. What's support look like for you guys? Support is something that I've heard discussed among manufacturers. When there's a glitch, you talked about being able to fix something in real time, but are they able to call in?
So right now, yeah, that's how we're set up. If I'll get a call from Jennifer on a Saturday and say, hey, something weird happened, and I'll throw a text out to the team, or if I'm in the house, I'll just run and quick sit down and deal with it. But I want to provide that level of support for everybody as we move forward, and it's going to be hard to do.
Matt, I'm convinced, and you probably know this, and your time of, owning a shed company, people buy from people they trust. What's sort of your philosophy? What's sort of your message to the industry for those that are looking at developing into this platform or exploring this platform in their sales process because they're looking to scale larger as things change? What's sort of your message to them?
Well, I certainly think we can help, but you mentioned it a while ago, and if we're not the right fit, I don't feel we're the right fit for you. We're going to be the first ones to tell you that. And we're going to talk more in depth about things. And I would rather talk myself out of your business than talk myself into your business, or maybe I'm saying that wrong, but I'd rather give you too much information and you decide I'm the wrong fit or the right fit versus not giving you enough information and misleading you and telling you that, yes, we can do all this and we're your guy, and then we not be. And that is kind of the message that I want this to be the best. And if you're the guy that thinks everything is always perfect, or the lady that thinks that everything's always perfect, especially in this deal space, you're not the customer for us, especially not at this point. Maybe later when we get it 100% nailed down on all these different things. But right now we're looking more for the open-minded individual that is wanting to grow, wanting to be a part of something, willing to give us some assistance, and hopefully be able to look back in 2 or 3 years and go, I helped them implement that right there. That's kind of my thinking behind that. That's my mark on the shed industry, is I helped them with this particular piece of it.
Tech in general is just, it's almost always in the development stage. I mean, I know you finish, but it's
never finished.
I was about to say, doesn't it seem like it just stays there?
Yeah, that's where occasionally I'll have to go find something else to do for a day.
I don't say Joe gets upset with me, but a lot of times we'll come back and they'll have something, and I don't use this every day, but I'll go through and I may look at the delivery deal and I'll play around with it. I'm like, man, we can fix this. Why is this so hard? Or why is it, like you said, 2 clicks or 3 clicks? And I'm going back and going, Joe, let's fix this. Well, it's going to take a lot of his time. Well, how much? Well, whatever it is. Okay. Yeah, let's fix that because we want to make it better. But that is probably where my strong suit is being able to play around. I'm not afraid to click buttons and mess things up, as Joe knows. I'll play around and see what this does and that does. But it is really we're trying to make everything automated. So that would be the other message to them, is that we're trying to get this to be as easy as possible and the least amount of manual labor as possible to you at the end of the day.
There's just a huge market out there for this type of service in the industry. Does size of company matter? Does it matter to you guys if it's a smaller mom and pop operation that is content with staying where they're at versus a larger organization that would prefer to use a system like this?
I think it's going to depend on the people. So like with the company I've been working with out of North Carolina, I found this wonderful group of people that I bonded with. So it's, getting up there, and I've spent a lot of time in their offices and getting to know them and seeing their facilities and talking these things through and getting them on board. And I think it's really, to me, it's about establishing the relationship and understanding each other so that everybody knows what's going on, what moving parts are there, so that we can provide the service. I mean, if I look at this as anything other than serving, I'm not looking at this in the right perspective.
No, I totally get it. I absolutely love the product. I wish, at some point it seems like we would need to maybe sit down with you guys, and I think it'd be cool to put like a full demo together and maybe put it on the YouTube channel or something, so that people can go see that. Love to talk with you guys and discuss that moving forward. I'm up against a hard stop coming up here at 2:00. If it wasn't for that, I feel like we could, go through a real in-depth analysis of the process, but staying very topical. And maybe what we'll do is we'll come back here in a few months or come back in 6 months and sort of continue to watch the journey of the process, where you can give new information to customers. And Matt, maybe by then you've got that 5 or 6 or 10 real dedicated good numbers to where you're ready to launch and scale that into further into the industry. But what I can't admire and tell you how much I admire enough is your ability to fix the problems as you go, listen to the customers and not overpromise, and really say, hey, we're flexible, because the sheds are getting so customizable. Have you guys considered, I'm just asking just off the cuff, have you guys considered, so many shed guys now are doing carports and things like that. Will this branch out into that service or have the potential to?
I think as long as if it right now, I think we could do it. It's going to be a matter of whether the components in that fit within the scope of this product builder, and I believe most of it will. I think I'd have to learn a little bit more myself on that end of it, but I think the bones are there.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say. If it's something you're building and it's customizable and it fits within the portable building scale, the bones are there. And we can structure from that point.
Matt, as you know, so the shed is just that. You have, I like to look at it as you either have cookie cutter sheds that are rolling out in big box fashion, or you have highly customizable, quality driven sheds. And it seems to be the two markets that are emerging from the industry, from my perspective anyway. But sheds getting hard to define. Now you're seeing pole sheds and pole barns and gazebos and chicken coops and playhouses and just about everything else on a shed lot that you can imagine. So, as you guys grow into the ShedVerse, and are able to accomplish and do most anything, I feel like there's probably just room to continue to expand as you guys get bigger. And finding someone who can accommodate that's pretty amazing. That's pretty awesome.
I mean, I could see with the right tweaks to the system, this could handle tiny homes. I mean, it's not much different.
Sure. Yeah.
A few more features to it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So if somebody wants to do a demo, what's the process look like right now? What would they do? Call you guys up?
They go to the website and fill out a form on the website. They could call us up. That's all on the site. Let me pull that up here really fast.
Sure. Matt, what's it been like? What's the journey been like doing this for a shed manufacturing company, seeking to better themselves and them around those around them?
I've enjoyed it probably more than humanly possible.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. I mean, I never knew I would like it, but I enjoy finding these things to make better. Enjoy making Joe's life a little bit harder, I should say, maybe on changing these things. But I really have enjoyed making this, and I feel like that we're making something that is going to be very, very good at the end of the day, and something that I'm passionate about. So I never dreamed a year and a half ago that I could feel the way about it that I have, or that we would be where we are today as far as how good the product is and our vision for it going forward, and the things that we really are focusing on and everything. And the lease to own part of it's really got me going. And then we've got some ideas about websites and, how we're going to get inventory there and stuff like that on an automated side of things. And we're just trying to tidy up a few things before the show,
Sure.
so we can start working on the website side of things.
So speaking of which, you guys will be at the Shed Expo, and that's the guard dog.
Yes.
That's what we keep around here whenever people want to mess with us here at the Shed Geek Podcast. So look out. You guys will be at the Shed Expo this year in Knoxville.
That's correct.
So if anybody wants to swing by your booth, you'll be able to, I'm sure, do a demo, explain all that there. So in person always works so much nicer. You can do a full version, but if they want to go to the website, Joe?
They can go to the website and fill out there's a request a demo. Just fill out the form. That'll come right to us, goes to about 3 of us. There's an 800 number down here on the bottom. And call that 800 number. I think that rings to Sydney, if I'm right, Matt, or Jennifer. I forget which one, but then somebody will reach out to us. And then Matt's in Oklahoma, and I'm right here in South Carolina. So, I mean, if you want to do something in person, I'm happy to do that as well.
Absolutely. Guys, I appreciate you. Go ahead, Matt.
That website is ShedVerse.us.
ShedVerse.us. Okay.
Yes.
And if you guys are, I definitely want to continue the conversation, know you more, follow the process, and help in any way I can, connect you to anybody who wants to connect. I appreciate you guys being on the show. It means a lot that we could connect with you probably more than anything. And I want to keep the conversation going. I'm up against this hard stop. I'll probably quit recording, but if you're looking for a demo, ShedVerse.us, check these guys out. I think you'll be really happy. I'm just happy to be able to be a part of that process that brings that information to the industry. I love what you're doing. I think it's only going to grow, and I think you're only going to continue to be more and more successful.
Well, Shannon, thanks for your time today. And
Thank you, sir.
I appreciate it very much, guys. Y'all have a great day.
All right. Thank you.